Santham Academy. Welcome to Digital Kaksha. To get updates on new videos, click the subscribe button and the bell icon.
Good morning students. Welcome to political science class. Today we are here to study the chapter 3rd of our political science of 12th class. The chapter heading is US hegemony in world politics. US hegemony in world politics. US here refers to the United States of America, okay, popularly known as America or USA. It is better we call it USA rather than calling America, because America, if we say, it refers to the whole of the continent, but here it is just a part of the continent referred to as an independent country. Hegemony here refers to concentration of power into one hand, or we can say the domination of a country in the world. So US hegemony in the world politics, that means the domination of US in the politics of the whole world. This is the theme of the chapter. Let us first understand what we are going to study in the chapter. It means let us first understand the structure of the chapter, what all things we will explore about in the chapter. End of Cold War era. We already have studied in the lower classes and earlier that there was a Cold War between the two power blocks. One power block associated with America and the other power block associated with Russia. So the whole world was in a sense divided into two power blocks. But when the Cold War ended, it resulted in the disintegration of Russia, and subsequently Russia became weak. So we will study disintegration of Russia and subsequently weakening of Russia in the world politics. Then US remains the only superpower in the world. So it slowly and gradually asserts its power and proves its domination. So domination of US in the different walks of life in the world. Okay. Domination in the political sphere of the world, domination in the economic aspects of the world, domination in the cultural aspect of the world, language related aspects, and many other dimensions we will study. Then further we will study how such domination of US can be limited, how we can set a limit to this domination of the power. This will study what all new organizations have emerged to check the over exercise of power of America. Then we will study our relations with America, what type of relations we have in different aspects of life with America, be it defense, be it trade, be it monetary transfer, be it culture, be it education, different spheres of life we will study, and our relations with America. Then by the end of the chapter we will try to understand how this unipolarization or the domination of US can be overcome, because it is not a healthy thing that one country dominates over the whole world. Okay. So by the end of the chapter we will try to study how we can overcome, or what are the possibilities where we can overcome, or in the near future we see that we can overcome the domination of America in the world. To start our understanding of the chapter, we will go through three different case studies, small case studies from the world. These are these are three different case studies from the different parts of the world. Let us understand this case study. With the help of this, we'll understand what the scenario is between the US and the rest of the world. Aisha, for example, she lives in Baghdad. She is a high school student. She lost her leg in a military attack. A military attack was done. By whom it was done, all this we'll study later on in our case studies in the chapter. She wants to become a doctor. Though she has lost her leg, but she has not lost her hope. She still wants to become a doctor. Another person is Jabu. Jabu is a talented young artist from South Africa. She lives in Durban, city of South Africa. She wants to go to an art school and have art education, and later on she wants to open her own studio, art studio. But her father wants him to do an MBA, study an MBA. He's a businessman, his business is not going on well, so he wants that Jabu develops her skills of business and take up the family occupation. Then Andheri. Andheri is a young man from Australia. His parents have migrated from Russia, and the mother is opposing Aisha for wearing jeans. Aisha is wearing jeans in the church, which is not liked by the mother. She opposes, she scolds him. Okay. But father convinces his mother that it is a mark of independence of youngsters, and he reminds that in the young days when we were in Russia, we also used to wear jeans, so she should allow her to wear the jeans. So that is just a case study to understand how the domination is there in the world in different spheres of life in the people. This will be linked to what we are going to study in the chapter. So now let us study the chapter step by step, and step by step we will study how US emerged as a very powerful country in the world, how US becomes a hegemon. We know that before the Cold War years, the world was bipolar. That means the powers were concentrated into two groups. One group was led by the Russian Union and the other group the United States of America. But by the end of the Cold War, Russia disintegrated. It broke into different independent republic countries, and the main Russia became a smaller country and comparatively weaker country. So the Russian system collapsed, and that Soviet Union collapsed, and Russia remained just a small country, a disintegrated country. So the only power left in the world is America, the United States of America. But this was not the time when America shows its hegemony. Okay. The world regards this as the time when America has emerged as a powerful country, but it was not the first time. US has already shown its power. It has already shown its power much earlier. There are two examples to show that how US was already powerful before the disintegration of Russia. For the first time in 1945, the end of the Second World War, we can recall how the Second World War ended. Okay. When Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, the naval base of US entered into the war. Till that time, US was not a part of the Second World War. But when Pearl Harbor was attacked by Japan, for the first time, America decisively entered into the Second World War. It dropped 2 nuclear bombs on Japan. 2 cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, were completely destroyed by these 2 nuclear bombs. So this was the first time US had shown its power. Second, in 1990, When Iraq invaded Kuwait, that time also US has shown its power. Iraq, when it invaded Kuwait, US tried to intervene and it tried to bring peace in the Gulf region. But both the sides were not ready to negotiate and it could not bring peace in the Gulf region. So, America joined with some other countries. A coalition of forces was made. So, coalition forces of 34 countries together attacked US. But this coalition was led by America. America had played a leading role and it has done much expenditure in this war. So, Iraq was attacked and ultimately it was defeated. So, this was the second time when US has shown to the world its power. Now, we'll study in detail about this Iraq's war or the war of US against Iraq. It is also called as the First Gulf War. Now, let us study about this war in detail. It was called as the First Gulf War. This was the time when George H.W. Bush was the president of USA. The war was fought by a very massive coalition forces of about 6,60,000 troops participating from the US side. 34 countries have actually participated in it. Together, these 34 countries contributed with 6,60,000 troops to fight this war. George H.W. Bush was the president of US that time. The war was dominated and it was led by US, America, that is US, and it was given the name Operation Desert Storm. Note it down. This was the name given, Operation Desert Storm. This name was given by USA. American General Schwarz led this coalition of the war. So the main leader of the war was US. 75% of the coalition forces were from US alone. The use of smart bombs, that means automatically operated bombs, were used, and that is why it was also well known as a computer war. Okay, because the technology of computer was used, less of manual power was used in the battle. The war was telecast on the television channels. There were live battle scenes shown to the world, and that is why it was also called as a video game war, because in the form of video, people could see the battle going on into their drawing rooms. In this war, US had actually gained profit. Generally in the war, financially nobody is the winner. Everybody has to lose lots of funds. But this was a unique condition. US had actually made profit from this war. How? Because the expenditure made by US was much less and the contribution it got from these 34 countries was much more. So it could have a margin of profit from this war also. This was a unique condition. Iraqi president called it as the mother of all battles. He has given the name mother of all battles to show that it was a very big war and to motivate its people, but Iraq was very severely defeated in this war. So this was the way US has shown its power to the world the second time. Okay. First time it has shown in the ending the Second World War, and the second time it has shown in the First Gulf War against Iraq. So these were the initial stages when US emerged as a powerful country in the world. Further we will study some more instances when US has asserted its power and shown to the world we have studied about the Gulf War, the first Gulf War against Iraq by the United States. That was the first Gulf War. Okay. That was during the era of President George H.W. Bush. President George H.W. Bush was the president of US around that time. Here we'll study the successor of George H.W. Bush and his style of rule in America. In 1992, elections were held in US and William Jefferson Bill Clinton, popularly known as Bill Clinton, he became the president. So we'll study his way of ruling, Bill Clinton's way of ruling in America around this time. His policies were more focused on domestic issues rather than international issues or rather than military work. He focused on democracy promotion. He focused on domestic day-to-day issues. He focused on climate change, world trade, domestic trade and such soft issues. He did not take much action against any of the countries. In 1996, he again got elected. So again for 4 years. In US, elections are held for 4 years, after every 4 years. That means the tenure of the government is only 4 years. On a fixed date, elections are held. Government cannot be dissolved in between this tenure. That is the rule of US. So once after every 4 years, the general elections are held and the government is formed. So Bill Clinton's government was formed in 1992 for the first time. Then for the second time in 1996, his government was formed. That means he was re-elected again for the second tenure. So his tenure was 4 plus 4, 8 years continuously. Okay. Again in 1996 when he was elected, his policies were very soft policies. Domestic issues he focused on and soft issues he focused on like climate change, global warming, international trade, international cooperation, bringing democracy in the world countries, promoting democracy, being the ambassador of democracy promotion in the world. Such soft issues he focused on. But we cannot say clearly that he was a passive ruler. Okay. Because there are some instances where he aggressively shows his policies. One such instance is the 1999 Air Force attack on Yugoslavia. In 1999, Air Forces bombed many targets in Yugoslavia. Why this bombing was done? Yugoslavia is a country dominated by the Albanians, that means in population, not in politics, but the population was predominantly Albanian population. But the Serbs were the rulers. Okay. And this government was led by the Serb rulers. The Serb community or the government took severe actions against the ethnic Albanian population. Okay. So the US tried to intervene and bring more of democratic form of government in Yugoslavia. So it has bombed many targets in and around Yugoslavia, especially Kosovo. Kosovo is a province in Yugoslavia where the atrocities was done on a larger scale against the Albanian population. Okay. So ultimately the Milosevic government, the ruler was Milosevic in Yugoslavia. Milosevic government was overthrown and US troops, that is the NATO, that is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, these are the partners in the military action against Yugoslavia. So these NATO forces were stationed there to control the politics of the country. That was one instance to show that during the Clinton era also there were aggressive actions taken by the US. Again, US once again proves its hegemonic power in the world.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more.